In 1794, the United States Mint delivered just 1,758 of its first silver dollars. Today, only a small number are believed to survive. And one extraordinary example eventually sold at auctions for more than $10 million. Imagine that. But there's a lot more to this coin than its value. Why did America have to wait to make its first silver dollars? Why are there words written on the edge? And why were some of these early coins eventually filed at the mint before they were struck? Well, today, we're going all the way back to the beginning of the American silver dollar. Welcome to the Coin Cabinet. My wife and I have been collecting coins together for years. And one of the things we enjoy most is learning the history behind them. We're not professionals by no means. That's why we research. And if there's ever a time when I give the wrong information, leave me a comment below. I'm a big boy, trust me. I can take criticism and I'll respond back. Because we love learning and we love sharing what we learn with you guys. So let's go all the way back to the beginning. The story of the dollar actually begins a couple of years earlier. And as many of us know, in 1792, Congress passed the Coinage Act. This established the United States Mint and laid out America's new monetary system. But here's something I didn't really understand until I started researching this thing. Just because Congress created the mint didn't mean America could immediately start making silver or gold coins. That I did not understand. The new mint had problems it had to overcome. And one of those problems involved something called financial bond. Okay, now when I say financial bond, let me explain what I mean in simple terms. Think of a bond as a financial guarantee. The government was basically saying, we're going to trust you with our valuable silver and gold. But before we do that, we need financial guarantee protecting the government if something goes wrong. And this involved two important mint officers. They were called the assayer and the chief coiner. Those are all old job titles. So let's explain what those people actually did. First was the assayer. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. The assayer was basically the mint's precious metal expert, the chemist. When silver or gold came into the mint, the assayer tested it to determine its purity. In simple terms, he needed to answer a couple things. How much of this metal is actually silver or gold, and how much is some other metal? That was extremely important back then. Before the mint could turn precious metals into coins, it needed to know exactly what kind of metal it was working with. Then we have the chief coiner. The chief coiner was responsible for important parts of the actual coin making operation. He supervised the preparation and striking of coins and was responsible for valuable metal as it moved through the coin making process. So here's the easiest way to remember the difference. The assayer checked the precious metals, and the chief coiner helped turn them precious metals into coins. Now that we understand their jobs, the bond problem makes a lot more sense, don't it? These men could be responsible for large amounts of valuable silver and gold. Naturally, the government wanted financial protection. The problem was that the original bond requirements were extremely high for that time. Before these officials could legally handle the government's precious metals, they had to secure those financial guarantees. Until that happened, gold and silver coinage couldn't simply move forward as planned. The mint could produce copper coins, but precious metal coinage was delayed. Mint Director David Rittenhouse and Secretary of State Thomas Jefferson worked to get those requirements changed. Congress eventually reduced the bond requirements to more manageable amounts. Once the proper bonds were secured, one of the major legal roadblocks to precious metal coinage was removed. It was taken out of the way. And in 1794, the young United States was finally ready to begin producing its own silver coins. And that's where the flowing hair dollar enters the story. On October 15, 1794, the United States Mint delivered just 1,758 silver dollars. That's 1,758. Compare that with the millions or even billions of some modern coins. That was an incredibly small beginning, wasn't it? And these flowing hair dollars became America's first federal silver dollars. And here's one of my favorite pieces of the story. The following day, on October 16th, Secretary of State Edmund Randolph forwarded a silver dollar piece received from David Rittenhouse to President George Washington for his inspection. Think about that. George Washington was president when these weren't antiques at the time. They weren't collectible coins either. They were brand new American money. The design was created by Robert Scott, the chief engraver of the United States Mint at the time. On the front is Liberty facing right. Her hair flows freely behind her, and that's where we get the name, the flowing hair dollar. Surrounding Liberty are 15 stars, 8 on one side and 7 on the other. And those 15 stars represented the 15 states in the Union at the time. Above Liberty is the word Liberty. And underneath her is the date, 1794. Look at that. Very nice. Now let's turn it over. On the reverse, we have a small eagle with its wings spread. You see that? The eagle is surrounded by a wreath. It goes all the way from the bottom to the top. And around the outside are the words, United States of America. But look carefully. Where does it say $1 at? Did it say it on the front? I didn't see it. And does it say it on the back? I don't see it here either. And for that, we have to turn the coin sideways. And this is one of the coolest features of these early dollars. The denomination was actually placed on the edge. You see that? The original edge inscription reads 100 cents, $1 or unit, along with decorative elements around it. And when we turn our piece sideways, we can really see the lettering and the decorative symbols on the edge. That's certainly something worth documenting. But I want to be careful here. Just because it has edge lettering doesn't mean that this coin is genuine or real, guys. Replicas and counterfeits can reproduce these edge lettering too. So this just gives us another observation of the coin. We're not trying to authenticate it. Now let's go to our red book. The original standard weight was approximately 26.96 grams. The diameter is approximately 39 to 40 millimeters. And we've already talked about the lettered edge. So now we're going to see what our piece actually weighs. 26.6 grams. Okay, guys, that's interesting. The original standard was approximately 26.96 grams, right? Our piece weighs 26.6 grams. That's approximately 0.36 gram lighter than the standard. But, and this is important to understand, weight alone cannot authenticate this coin. A replica can be made close to the correct weight. We're simply recording what we find, that's all. Now it's time for my favorite part. We're going underneath the microscope. And with a coin like this, we're going to take our time. First, I'm looking closely at the 1794 date. I'm checking the shapes, the spacing, and the position of the numbers. Alright, next, we're going to go ahead and move and look at the stars. And going around the coin, let's go ahead and look. They look pretty decent. Let's go ahead and look at Liberty's face now. And her neckline. And all that flowing hair right behind it. Now, I'm looking at the Liberty lettering right above. And around the rim are all these little tooth-like features called denticles. You see that? You can still see them on this coin. And on an extremely rare coin, small design details can become very important. Now, let's flip it over. I'm looking at the eagle right in the center right here. Let's go ahead and start off with at the head. And let's going to look at the wings right beside the left and right. And let's look at the individual feathers. Pretty nice. Then, let's go and move through the wreath. And finally, we're going around United States of America. We're looking for similarities and differences compared with authenticated examples. But remember, we're not authenticating this coin ourselves. We're just studying and learning about it, that's all. But remember, only 1,758 were delivered in 1794. Researchers have given different estimates of how many genuine examples survive today. You'll commonly see estimates somewhere around 120 to 150 coins. So I want to treat one exact number as absolute. But either way, we're talking about a cool, rare American coin here. Now look at what a red book says about the value. Even a heavily worn, genuine 1794 flowing hair dollar can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Our red book starts at 1794 at approximately $50,500 in about good 3 state. You see that? Around $66,000 a good 4. And around $108,000 a very good 8. You see that? And the values climb dramatically as the grade improves. Remember though, these are guide values only. Actual prices depend on authenticity, grade, eye appeal, pedigree, and the market. So let's come back to the piece we're holding. What do we actually know? It's dated 1794. We see that there. It has the flowing hair design. You can see that on the coin also. We weighed it at 26.6 grams. And we've confirmed that it has lettering and decorative elements on the edge. We've also looked at the design under the microscope. But those are all observations we can make. But none of them allow us to say that this is an authentic 1794 United States silver dollar. And that's a very important difference. If we wanted a definite answer, the next step would be professional examination and authentication. And we're definitely not cleaning it. We're definitely not polishing it. We're not scratching it. We're not filing it. We're leaving the piece exactly how it is. With a coin this important, you don't experiment with it. You just don't know. And regardless of what our particular piece ultimately turns out to be, look at everything it gave us as a reason to learn about it. We went back to the coinage of 1792. Way back then. We also learned what a financial bond was. We learned what an assayer did. I hope I pronounced that right. We learned what the chief coiner did. We also learned about David Rittenhouse, Thomas Jefferson, Robert Scott, and the famous George Washington. We learned why there are 15 stars. We also learned why the denomination is on the edge. We learned about adjustment marks also. We weighed our piece and we put it underneath the microscope. That's what I enjoy about collecting. A little piece of metal can open the door to more than 200 years of American history. And that's what we love learning about. Now I want to hear from the collectors watching. What did you notice? Is there something about this coin that we should be looking at more closely? And if there's something we got wrong, please let us know. We're always willing to learn. We love learning and we love sharing what we learn, guys. So thanks for watching the Coin Cabinet, and we'll see you on the next one.